What's going on, 49er Faithful, 49er fan, 49er Gang? This is your boy Niner Gang Podcast back with another video. So definitely hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on the post notifications so I can keep you up to date on any and everything San Francisco 49ers. That being said, let's get right on into it. Definitely, man, this is a preview for the Cardinals. You know what I'm saying? We definitely have to figure out what's going on. Cardinals, after two straight losses of 4 and 3 respectively, came out and handed a 12-point L to the Cowboys, and shut them down. Josh Dobbs ran all over the place. You know what I'm saying? Their run game was definitely elite in that last game, but now they come up and they face us. And we aren't necessarily looking to give up a lot in the run. We are looking to make sure that we take care of things and take care of business. But the Cardinals definitely surprised me when it came down to running the ball as well as they have. But we're going to take a look, do a little compare and contrast on the numbers and see what we got going on. So let's get right on into it. If we look at it just from a QB standpoint, we got the advantage because we got Brock the Glock Purdy. When you look at them, they're just starting a young guy, Joshua Dobbs. He, I don't know, this dude just looks funny, at least to me. He doesn't look like a typical everyday quarterback, but it is what it is. As of right now, Dobbs has 2 TDs, no interceptions through 3 games. He has been sacked 5 times. Looks like the Cardinals are running the ball fairly well with James Conner, averaging about 5.2 yards per carry. And we have to be mindful of Joshua Dobbs. And we've had a few instances where we have a little problems with running quarterbacks. He's averaging 7.8 yards per carry. When you look at the totals for the running backs, as a whole, 488 in total for the 49ers and 469 for the Cardinals. They're right behind us. Their leading rusher obviously is James Conner, and our leading rusher obviously is CMC. He's got 353 yards. He got the bulk of the yards there for rushing, and same thing for James Conner, 266. The other night, and then Joshua Dobbs has almost 100 himself. When you take a look at it, CMC has 3 touchdowns. Of course, Debo, Purdy have 1 themselves. And for them rushing, James Conner's got 4. Joshua Dobbs has 2. And then you've got Rondale Moore and Marquise Brown, both with 1 rushing. So they've got 8 rushing touchdowns to our 5. And, that's definitely something to be concerned with because the way we have our defense set up, it's a situation where we have to be mindful of runs up the gut because we run that wide 9. That's what's susceptible. That's the weakness in that defense, should I say, is just running up the gut because you leave that open because you have your defensive ends playing outside of the left and right tackle, and you have your defensive tackles playing almost outside of the guards to an extent. So there's that big gap in the middle, and usually that's for the linebackers to fill, but it doesn't always pan out that way. So we do have to be very, very mindful and respectful of the Cardinals' run game, just on the situation that they can make things happen, man. That last game, they went everywhere and did everything. So we just have to be very, very critical of that and be mindful. Joshua Dobbs right now, 72% on his passing completions. He's got 549 yards. Brock's 67%, and he's got 736 yards. He has 4 TDs, been sacked 6 times. So we just have to make sure that we're, kind of on our P's and Q's when it comes to that. As far as receiving, we got the usual suspects, Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, JJ, CMC, and Ronnie Bell, even a little bit of Elijah Mitchell. Those are literally all the players that have caught passes for us this year. And as of right now, Debo Samuel sat out yesterday with a knee injury. Pretty sure they held out Brandon Ayuk to give him a little more time to rest for his shoulder. And then everybody else was pretty much a full go. I don't expect either one of them to miss the game on Sunday. It'll be another home game, so they'll be ready to go for that. I don't see them, like I said, I don't see them missing the game at all. They should be perfectly fine to play. Debo's got one TD, BA's got two, and Ronnie Bell has the other touchdown pass from Brock Purdy. For the Cardinals, you got some guy named Michael Wilson. Of course, you still got Marquise Brown and Zach Ertz. You got Trey McBride, Rondale Moore, James Conner, Zach Pascal. And most of these dudes, the guys that are really making an impact are the first three that I named is Wilson, Brown, and Ertz. Wilson and Brown both atop the 100-yard mark, but Marquise Brown is the only one that's caught any TDs. Even Zach Ertz is only averaging about 5.9 yards per catch. So he's not doing a lot. But when you look at, McBride, Brown, and Wilson, they're all in double digits. So we do have to be a little mindful of them. Not really anyone else to be concerned with as far as their offense, when you're looking at the numbers and figures. So then for us, you've got three people over 100 yards for the season, and that's Debo, Ayuk, and Kittle. JJ is teetering on that. He's at 82 yards for the season. All four of those dudes are averaging more than 10 yards a catch, so that's a beautiful thing. Ronnie Bell, even though he's only had two targets, he caught both of them. He's averaging 12 yards a carry, and he has a touchdown. So, that touchdown was great that he had in that, right in the end zone. So that was actually a beautiful thing, So Ronnie Bell's a good pickup. He was able to get a little bit of PT because Brandon Ayuk was out. And expect more from him to come. Kyle Shanahan is a very in-the-moment kind of coach. So basically, when it comes to the situation of Ronnie Bell, as long as he keeps showing that he can do things and he keeps progressing and he keeps making plays, he definitely will be the guy on the field. The real question mark is Danny Gray. We haven't heard or seen anything from him, and we're trying to figure out what to do. It's definitely a little weird when it comes to Danny Gray, strictly based on the fact that he wound up starting the season, kind of on the pup list. And, we're not sure what's going to happen because Ronnie Bell is, pushing his way onto that field any way that he can. He plays special teams. He's always there. He's ready. He's ready to block. He's ready to play. He's ready to catch. He's ready to do anything to help this team win. And it's not to say that Danny Gray isn't, but the thing is like I said, Kyle Shanahan is a very in-the-moment coach. So if you're playing well in the moment, Kyle's going to take you over someone he hasn't seen necessarily. And honestly, I do believe that Danny Gray was brought in, pretty much for Trey Lance. We were looking for the big play. We were looking for that guy to take the top off of defense. But Trey Lance is now a Cowboy. And we don't have a quarterback on the roster who's going to hit a deep ball like that. I mean, Sam Darnold has a pretty big arm, when it comes to that. But honestly, you're not going to see any Sam Darnold. And you don't want to see Sam Darnold because if you do, there's one of two things that happen. It's either garbage time and we're blowing a team out so bad we have no reason to keep Brock on the field, or Brock got injured, and that's definitely what we don't want to happen because, unfortunately, we stay in the top 10 of most injured teams since Kyle and John have been here. So that's basically the case there when it comes down to it. So it can be a little frustrating when you look at it from that aspect, but hopefully all of our receivers are ready to go. I don't think we'll have anybody missing. When you take a look at the defense and you're looking at everything in total, we have 8 sacks, and for them, they have 11. So that's definitely a big thing there. They have 11 sacks on the season. And linebacker Kaiser White has 1. We got a linebacker named Dennis Gardick. He's got 3. Victor Demukeje, he's got 2.5. Carlos Watkins has 1. Zayvon Collins has 1.5. And Lakey Fotu, defensive tackle, he's got 1. So they've got 11 sacks on the year. So that means the Cardinals are definitely getting after the quarterback at a bare minimum. They are making that happen. I know Javon Kinlaw is in the top 5 of pressures for defensive tackles, which is a good thing. That means you're seeing some progression from him. Although, that progression hasn't turned into actual sacks. Those pressures do mean a lot to different people. Me personally, I like pressures, but I like pressures, but I like sacks more. So then you take a look at it. When you look at the TFLs, we have 14 and the Cardinals have 16. So it's not as if their defense is weak. They seem to be doing fairly well. You just kind of have to chalk it up to, the quarterback trying to figure out some new things. So Kaiser White again, he's got 3. Dennis Gardick has got 4. So it seems like those are the 2 guys that we're going to have to keep a close eye on is Gardick and White. Those 2 linebackers are making plays and making things happen for them. And that's basically what it is. You have to always take a look at the numbers and the stats, and it'll tell you who to pay attention to and where to keep your eyes and what guys to be a little mindful of more on the field, because those are the dudes out there making the plays. For us, we got our usual suspects. Pretty much our whole defensive line works out. And of course, Drake Jackson leads us with 3 sacks. He had those in that one game. Hasn't been able to get home again. Hargraves got 2. Bosa's got 1. He finally got his last game when we played the Giants. Fred Warner has a sack as well. Kerry Hyder has 1, and we should have had 1 from Mooney Ward, but, he whiffed on that and got sidestepped by Matthew Stafford, which is definitely very disappointing. I'm pretty sure they kept, they gave him crap about that to no end, when it comes down to it. And when you look at the interceptions for us, we've got 5. They only have 3. Of course, once again, usual suspects for them. Kaiser White has 1. Their safety, Jalen Thompson, has 1. And Zaven Collins, he's got 1 as well. We all know who Zaven Collins is. We've heard that name before. So the Cardinals do have some formidable players that we do have to keep our close eye on and make sure that we are paying very close attention when we're blocking them. We all know about our players and what we do and all the things that we have done throughout the first few games, but you got to get familiar with your opponent and make sure that you know what they're bringing. So I do expect them to probably blitz a lot. I don't think they're going to blitz as much as the Giants, because the Giants blitzed us almost 75% of our plays. Like, they were coming after Purdy. There's times where I would just see him drop back and he'd have to take extra steps. He might have had a 3 or 5 step drop, and that was all it was supposed to be, but it's turned that into like a 12 or 15 step drop just because he had to move to get out of the way, to avoid a sack or just try to give himself enough time to actually get the ball out. So the Giants definitely blitzed us like nobody's business. And I do expect the Cardinals to blitz, maybe not that much. Probably going to just try to bring their front, their front part of their defense and their defensive lineman, maybe a linebacker here or there. But I definitely expect Kaiser White and Dennis Gardick to be guys that we have to pay very, very close attention to when it comes to them being on the field. As far as the tackles and whatnot, it looks like those are the ones that are being, that are the big guys bringing people down. It looks like it's more so their linebackers and their DBs that are doing the tackling. Guy leading them in tackling for the defensive line is Jonathan Ledbetter. He's got 12 total tackles, but nobody out. Defensive linemen aren't always going to have high stats, but that tells you if they are up there on the tackle list, that means they're making plays. So Ledbetter seems to be the guy for them, but everybody else is in single digits. So we want to be mindful of their defensive line. I think honestly their linebacking core is a little better than we give it credit for. And once again, when it comes to their DBs and whatnot, you've got a few guys with different passes defense. So Keltrell Clark, he's got about 4. You got Chris Barnes. He has 3, but he's a linebacker. Marco Wilson's got 3. So I guess we have to keep an eye on this guy Wilson and Clark. If they're knocking a couple of footballs down, that definitely can be some question marks for us. Mooney's got 4 passes defense, and the next closest guys are obviously Huff and Fred Warner. And plus, those are the guys that have the INTs there. We got Fred and we've got Mooney. Isaiah Oliver has 1, and Huff has his 2. So we've got some viable things to go on as far as our players and what we have and what we can do. So I do believe that we're going to be okay as far as that is concerned. It is definitely going to be a great game. The Cardinals always give us a problem. Why, I don't know. It drives me up to up the wall, and it irks me to no end. Why we can't just come in and just smash the Redbirds and beat them. But they definitely do not play around. They give us all kinds of hell when we play. But really quickly, I'm gonna give y'all a quick spot here from my guy Zach. We always got to talk about the sponsors and whatnot. So here we go. We got the MyBookie.
And perfection, and MyBookie delivers. NFL, college football, and a brand new cash out system give you options to bet and win all season long. The first two legs of your parlay hit, cash out early and use the funds on another bet, or you could let it ride at a chance at a bigger payday. And I'm not the only one who's been there when 3 or 4 of your legs of a parlay have hit and you're stressing hoping that fourth one hits and it doesn't. Well, now that stress is no longer there, guys, because you can cash out early thanks to MyBookie. You can join the MyBookie family for an entire season filled with odds boosts, free bets, and super contests. And to get started, all you got to do is go to mybookie.ag. It's right here on the screen, and register for a free account. That's right, it's free. And when you're ready to make your first deposit, whatever that may be, just use promo code HIVE. It's right here on the screen, HIVE, to grab a welcome bonus on the house. That's our gift to you for being a part of the 49ers Hive family. That's promo code HIVE, HIVE, to claim your deposit bonus. And for a limited time, you also get a free chip to use in the MyBookie casino. You can bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.
All right, so that was just a quick message from my man Zach. Shout out Zach in the Red and Gold Standard podcast there. My guy Matt. Shout out to Forever Faithful podcast. My guy Beto Niner Sickness as well. So definitely this game is going to be a little tougher than I anticipated. The Cardinals are definitely playing very well. Like I said, their first loss was by 4, next loss was by 3. And then they come out and had the Cowboys a 12-point L. So it's not to say that the Cardinals are not formidable, and they are going to be an easy win. They definitely have put in the time and put in the work to make sure that they are good to go. So when it comes down to it, we have to make sure that we are doing everything that we can to, neutralize that run game and make sure that we slow them down. I don't think they're going to run all over us the same way they ran all over Dallas, but we will definitely make sure that we keep a close eye on things and that we make sure that we're the ones who are dominant in that run game, having CMC and having, Elijah Mitchell in the backfield and making sure we split the runs between them well enough. It's going to be more lopsided for CMC, but making sure we spell him properly so he doesn't wind up getting injured. Same thing for Elijah Mitchell, man. The less he's on the field, the less chance he has to get injured. And if we can have him last the season, that'd be great. I'd love to go into the postseason and have those, that two-headed monster running back. Shout out Judah Great from Real Talk Niner Talk. He was saying to put Mitchell and CMC on the field at the same time. Switch it up, dig in that bag, figure it out. So I definitely think that would be a good idea for them to be able to do something like that when it comes down to it. But I hopefully have seen more than enough, and Kyle Shanahan keeps the rotations going the way that they're supposed to be going. Yeah, Ramon, division games are always tougher. I do believe when we play the Cardinals, they'll give us a couple of fits here and there, but I think we can actually figure it out. The key for us, number one thing, honestly, stop Josh Dobbs from running. He is a very athletic and mobile quarterback, and he's a lot bigger than Kyler Murray. So he can see over the defensive line. Kyler Murray just short and don't do nothing. And I can tell you right now, if Josh Dobbs keeps playing the way he's playing, that head coach will not hesitate to go ahead and say, no, I don't know if you need to be on the field right now, Kyler. We give you a couple extra weeks to go ahead and heal up. And if they're winning games and things are looking right, they may turn to Josh Dobbs. But at the end of the day, they won't it's hard to sit your starter, especially with all the money they're paying Kyler Murray. And if they are trying to, in any way, shape, or form, to get the number one pick to go ahead and get Caleb Williams out of USC, it's going to be a rough go. And the reason being is because if you keep winning, you lessen your chances of getting that number one pick. And typically anybody picking in the top 10, at least 5 out of those 10 teams need a quarterback in some way, shape, or form. And the Cardinals definitely need one, because I can tell you right now, though Kyler Murray is a great talent and he is a great football player, I don't know how long he would last at the quarterback position because he's just a very small individual. Kyler Murray is about 5'8" at best, if that. So it's not like he's running around out there able to see over everything. He has to literally duck in between the tackles and, find little crevices and cracks to look at, or his drops have to be deeper strictly because of his height. And that's not an easy thing to do as a quarterback. You can't have a 3-step drop and then turn out and let it go, because the only thing you can do is a bubble screen, because you can't see over the offensive line because everybody is 6 foot or taller. I don't think they have an offensive lineman on the Cardinals that are short like that. I don't even think we have an offensive lineman that's less than 6 feet tall. So that's the hard part about these guys, is when you look at them, when you look at Kyler, it's like, how are you seeing over all of these dudes when they tower over you? You got to look up at most of these people. It could definitely be, a question later on in the season. If Kyler comes back and he doesn't look like the same Kyler Murray, of course, there is no DeAndre Hopkins. You let him go, and he went over to Tennessee hanging out. I think it's him and Julio. So they've got like the two vet receivers at their receiver position in Tennessee. But now all you got is, like I said, a bunch of people that nobody knows about outside of Hollywood Brown. And Hollywood Brown is only known because he is he's somebody's cousin. Antonio Brown's cousin. That's literally the only reason that Marquise Brown was known. It's not to say that his college career didn't make a name for himself, but other than that, when you look at the receivers, I don't know who Michael Wilson is. We all know who Rondale Moore is. He's a mainstay. We've heard Zach Pascal's name, but he's not anybody that's going to scare you. Rondale Moore, out of all of those receivers, honestly, the guy that I worry about the most is Rondale Moore. And that's because he's done us greasy in a couple of games, and he gets busy. He definitely gets busy. He wiggles through everything. He does what he needs to do. And he's a very shifty dude. And if you're not at the proper angle when you out there trying to tackle him, he will break your ankles or he will make you miss, one of the two. So you got to be mindful of that. But honestly, Rondale Moore, Marquise Brown, and probably James Conner are the guys that we have to focus on, slow down and stop. From a defensive standpoint, we do have to, make sure we keep a close eye on Kaiser White, Dennis Gardick, and make sure that we keep a close eye on, some of their linebackers, because that's where the bulk of their sacks have come from. And those are the guys getting after it, really making the plays, and definitely you always love to see Budda Baker versus George Kittle. There's got to be one of the best matchups in the league. Those two go at it. They love to, make sure that they're doing things that they want to do, even though we know Budda Baker wants out. What I'm saying? He had that. We say Josh Rosen to Kyler to Caleb would be crazy. Yeah, that'd be insane. That would be insane, if you did that. It just shows that, they definitely don't have the right thing. And then at the same time, but Kyler being kind of sent out would not be surprising, only because typically a head coach, when they come in, they use that first year to get their quarterback. When you're the new head coach of a team, typically that team has sucked the year before. So they're trying to find a way to make plays and get players that are going to be impact guys. And typically a head coach will go ahead and get a quarterback. Our head coach did not do that. Obviously, we know why, but I'm not going to go into all of that. But, yeah, that definitely would be a turnaround of a serious carousel. And we all know what quarterback carousel looks like here in San Francisco, because we've been on one since 2017. And now we're hoping that Brock is the guy and he stays and this is the dude and that's it. What's going on, John? Good morning, man. So basically in this game, you just got to be able to be on your P's and Q's, watch after those guys that I was talking about. Some other news, Patrick Surtain wants out of Denver. His dad has spoken out about it. Pat Surtain, numero uno, and we talk about Pat Surtain second. Honestly, I wouldn't be mad at picking up Pat. I mean, if you could have Mooney and Pat on the field, that's two all-pro DBs. And I'm not mad at that at all. And if you throw Demo in the slot, you're good. You still got Sam Womack. We're still waiting on Darrell Luter Jr. to come back and see what he has. A lot of people were raving about him in camp and whatnot. So it will create some nice depth. And he's on his rookie deal, so he'll be cheap. The most we would have to give up for him is draft picks. And, hey, man, we don't really pick that well in the first few rounds anyway. So giving up a first or second rounder to go get Pat Surtain second, I don't think that's going to, be a negative thing. And you would love to have the kid to be here and see what he does. And if he looks good, hell, maybe we use him for that year and just let him go free. You know what I'm saying? He can get paid. He's looked good throughout the time that he's played in the league. And if he comes here, shows up and shows out and does, great things, gets himself a couple of interceptions, make sure he's got some good passes defense, and he's putting good film out there, then, hey, you go and get paid elsewhere. You let yourself be a free agent. We don't tag you because we don't really franchise tag anyone. And you be good with that. Kyle and John got their extensions. Albeit for me, I feel like it was very premature. I wouldn't have given them extension until they gave us a Super Bowl ring. That's what I would have waited on. Hey, you bring me a Super Bowl, you're more than welcome to an extension. Until then, don't come back into my office. I already gave you. They gave them extensions prematurely, like already, right after the Super Bowl. It was like, all right, we got to the mountaintop. Cool, we're gonna pay these guys and keep them here. So they still had several years left on their contracts. There was no need for them to get another extension right now. I do believe that Jed is trying to make sure he has some consistency in those two places because that's what will help you breed it, win a championship and whatnot. But at the same time, as everybody was so overly happy and enamored with that, I look at the whole body of work. And for me, the whole body of work didn't warrant another extension. Yes, when they won the Super Bowl, you might have gotten a little trigger happy and pulled the trigger right then and there. I get it. That's great. You know what I'm saying? But I can tell you right now, if we go to the playoffs, come out with another L, and we don't get to the Super Bowl, or we get to the Super Bowl and lose another one, what I can tell you is that looks to me like why. So you gave them an extension because they keep getting you to the mountaintop, but they're never able to get over the hump. So you're paying Kyle Reed because he's becoming Andy Reid in Philly slowly here in San Francisco. You gave him an extension to just keep you competitive. So it's definitely hard. You know what I'm saying? It's not easy. And here goes Jim Everett the Great. Nobody cares what he has to say. But Herman Cruz says, you acting like 32 teams make 3 championships and Super Bowl appearances over the last 4 years. No, they don't. Not every team does that. That's obvious because you can only have a few teams that can do that. I like what they've done, and I'm happy that they've kept us competitive. But I'm sorry, if you still have several years on your extension and you have not brought me a Super Bowl ring, then I am paying you prematurely. Think about it like this. I gave you this example before. I'll give it again, Herman. If you look at it, Josh Norman got paid after 1 year in Carolina. They literally rescinded their offer to him. And what happened? He went elsewhere, got paid. Have you seen anything out of Josh Norman since? Last time I saw Josh Norman, he had gotten posterized by Derrick Henry, along with the fact that while he was here, the only thing he was doing was creating fumbles. He didn't have any interceptions. He wasn't able to cover anymore. There was never another crazy Josh Norman season where he was talked about as being the top defensive back. And it's nothing against Josh Norman personally. I don't know the man. But I'm saying just from a football standpoint, when you look at it, he shouldn't have gotten paid like that. Why? He wasn't able to be consistent. So if I'm saying I see, yes, that you've been to 3 NFC championships, but you've been to a Super Bowl, at the end of the day, you're still coming out with L's. So while you go there and you say, hey, we made it, you made it. That's nice. In the NFL, you don't get trophies for being in second place. No one remembers third place. Morning, Mom. So, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. You just now I'm not stating that I have a replacement for Kyle. Pretty sure we could find some definite people to replace John Lynch GMs are always out there looking for jobs, and you can find somebody who figures it out. But it definitely is a weird thing. And you got to think about it. And Herman, you're looking at the last 3 years. Do you remember the fuck ups? That's why I say I look at the whole body of work. Do you remember the fuck ups? Do you remember the screw ups that they've had? Do you see that Kyle Shanahan can't draft an actual running back to save his life because they always fail and they're never doing anything? Do you remember the debacles that have been the first round picks that we have? Do you remember basically the whole debacle with Trey Lance? Like that's forgiven. Most head coaches in any other situation, if they would have fucked off picks like that and then randomly traded the player and gave up on him, you get fired. So that's what I'm saying. You're looking at these last couple of years, and that's what everybody is doing. Oh, these last couple of years have been great. They've been awesome. Oh, man, we've been doing this. We've been doing that. We've remained competitive. At the end of the day, you're not looking at the big picture. There have been several screw-ups. John Lynch has barely hit on most of his picks, and he always hits in the later rounds. He doesn't hit in the beginning. I need the highest draft pick that we have outside of Nick Bosa and Brandon Ayuk that has hit was Aaron Banks, and he had to be redshirted for a year. So I'm saying, look at the overall body of work before you judge me for my opinion, and then tell yourself if I'm really tripping or not. Because though you continually year in and year out remain competitive, are you getting the job done? That's the question. And what I hear all of the time from people is, oh, you got to have luck. You got to have luck. So we have to get lucky every year? We have to have luck every year? There's things that we have to have. So it just doesn't make any sense. But either way, that's just my opinion. I don't feel like they're doing all of that, that they have done anything to warrant extensions as of right now. Me personally, I'd wait till they brought a Super Bowl ring. But it is what it is. But at the end of the day, got to go out there, beat these Redbirds, make sure we give them, everything that we can, and stop the run, make sure we don't let Josh Dobbs run all over us, and keep those guys on defense in check. But I'm going to get out of here. Got some things to do, got some food to make. But thank everybody for coming in and hanging out with me, man. Everybody stay up, stay blessed, stay faithful, and have a wonderful day.